At the top, survival of the fittest, mob deep. Yay, schoolboy Q.
Schoolboy.
Oh. Can we just,
Sorry,
can we cut?
Yeah, let's go again.
I've got to go again. This is an important episode. At the top, survival of the fittest, mob deep. Yay, schoolboy Q. In the XR6. So you boys both got drafted same year.
Same year, yeah.
Universal brothers.
He's actually born on, I'm going to take a pun here, the 1st of April, 1995. Funnily enough, April Fools. I hope that's the right date. Anyway, he is born on the day that the Fremantle Dockers played their first ever game.
True Wharfie.
And from that day, he's just hardcore Freo Southsider, and he loves them.
Was a Freo fan his entire life.
Freo fan, born and
gets
bred.
drafted by Freo, starts getting into his work.
Gets drafted by GWS, actually.
Gets drafted by GWS.
Yeah, so he went over to the Giants, Greater Western Sydney Giants, and he had nothing to say but lovely things about all those lads. If any of them are listening, he thought the absolute world of you boys, and there's so many classy lads in there that he just had so many great stories about, Whitfield, Josh Kelly, even I think it was Sam Reid was his boy over there. He really loved it over there. But I know certainly now, again, retrospectively, that he struggled over there because he was so he loved his mates so much, and he was a plumber. He loved drinking beers. He loved socialising. He was just so energetic, and he went over there to a new state and just had no one to hang out with. Yeah. And I know you used to drive to a pub, and just go and hang out with the locals there, because the footy guys that were his age in the same sort of cohort, they
different values, different ways they want to spend their time.
Absolutely, and they're all very highly professional. Maybe liked things like gaming or liked other things, had other interests, and he didn't really know how to fit in. And so I know he loved his time there, but I think he knew he needed to come back.
Yeah,
and had a little bit of trouble in that process. I do know, but needed to come back out of necessity, and then ended up making his way over to the Dockers.
Would you say it's like true Cam fashion that he, even though he felt like he might not have got along with people and fit in, he still put his best foot forward with those guys that were different and made lifelong friends?
Oh, definitely. That's it. That was the way he approached things. He was your best mate no matter what, and that's why crew rolled up, to his funeral from GWS, from Sydney, 2-hour window sort of setup, because he makes such a lasting impression on them all and anyone he meets, because he just gives you his full consciousness, his full focus, his full energy, his full love at every interaction. But I don't think it was a case of not sort of getting on with the boys. I think it was more I realised that my actual non-football, away from football skills,
my kind of core life values,
I need a different environment to this.
Yeah.
I can't exist in this environment, and so
and that being such a new footy club at the time.
Yeah, and they, like all football clubs, they have interests in keeping their players, and he said I need to go home, and they said no you can't, and so he had a year off footy and came home anyway, because he knew within himself that he couldn't cop that environment. And so I know that hurt him a little bit for that to go down that way, and he actually always wanted to write a book on how that went down. There was a few damaged relationships there from an administration perspective, but I know he loved the Giants, and then he loved Freo too. Came and joined Freo, and some of my great memories of playing derbies.
Yeah, you start lining up on each other. What position was he playing?
He was like a high half forward, centre half forward sort of thing, and I was centre half back, maybe full back, third tall sort of set up at that stage, because there was some great defenders in the team, so we would play on each other.
Yep.
And we would often catch up the night before.
What's the conversation like that? Because you were such close mates that you probably don't talk about footy that much outside.
So we'd always catch up the night before pretty much and have some pasta together, and we'd always laugh, should we just go out tomorrow and just start bashing each other, just completely start the biggest derby brawl ever and just go for it, man. Wouldn't it be funny sort of thing? And we thought about it once, we kind of went and hit each other at the start of the game. It was we doing this, and we pretty quickly he turned around and started facing the game, and I was like, oh, okay, we're not doing it.
Are we talking jumper punching?
No, I'm talking we start fighting pretty much, but not full throw punches, more jump punching to the ground, anyone else comes in, we're at them. We're just making a huge brawl. And we'd honestly, you'd run into each other and sort of quickly slap it up, but then get into game mode because you don't want to be fucking around with your mates on field.
Yeah.
You know, there's people watching you, there's coaches, there's perception. Like, you got to do the right thing. You're trying to represent your teammates.
And it sounds like he slipped into it pretty quick.
Yeah, you all slipped into it. You know, you weren't broing around, fucking around for too long. But no, there was only one way the derbies could ever go, and there's only one way footy goes when you're a backman and you're playing on forwards, and it's either you lose, you get done, or no one notices.
Yep.
And so luckily enough, I didn't get done too many times, but there was a time where he kicked 3 in the first quarter or the first not long. Yeah. And the crowd was going crazy.
And in camp fashion, like, it looks good. It's quick. It's skill.
Yeah, the fingers coming out, like Subi ovals on their
Crowd's
feet.
Fucking loving
Yeah,
it
he's
too.
got some stupid haircut, just like a few new tats. And, you know, you'd get back onto him at centre bounce and he'd be like, put that up my ass. You know, and you'd have a quick laugh and then be back onto it. So, you know, I always found that duel and that journey. And it's so fulfilling as well for my mates and my family and his family to watch it and be proud and be like, there's 2 of my boys, our boys, 2 best friends that are playing against each other, playing AFL on Subi Oval in front of 50,000 or on Optus as well, I'm pretty sure. And isn't that special, you know, because like this whole project, when you know the person or you know them more, it means more. And so I know that, you know, we've got a whole bunch of friends and family that would all get together and watch the games and just love watching us play together.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. And like, have you gone back and watched those goals? Can you find them online?
Oh, I reckon we would be able to find them. They're probably just popping up at the bottom of the screen right now, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but,
I think we're gonna have to get something cut together.
But no, I never reminisce too much and all that stuff. And truly, part of a backman, I believe, is actually the mental skills to like talk yourself past all that stuff and stay in there. And like I said, it can be kind of a deflating position because you don't actually often get the reward, and not the reward from other people, the reward from yourself. Like you don't win games too often, like kick a winning goal, do something sick. Like you don't influence a game as heavily or as obviously as lots of other players.
I think heavily is definitely not the word, because
not the word,
the
no.
influence is definitely there. It's the obvious here. It's not to. It's like this 1%er. It's this spacing stuff.
Yeah.
If you're not in it, you're not gonna fucking understand. Like if I watched it, I couldn't get it.
Yeah, no, and you're not doing flashy, cool things that leave people in awe. It's all pretty hustling, and like I said, you know, you slip over, bad luck. You know, your man kicks 4, and often 3 of them were from someone else's fuck up, and you went to press another man, and all of a sudden, but
you're the highlight reel, even though the breakdown was somewhere else.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask, after the game, Cam's giving you some work in the first half. Did he say anything after the game?
Nah.
Just broke down true fashion.
Yeah. It was never even about. That's the thing. He could kick. Honestly, he'd have to kick probably 8, I reckon, before he'd be like, before you'd have to mention it, being like, oh man, it's like, you know, lucky that I had a good day today. Yeah. But it was like footy was here, but then relationships here. You know, it's like when you see your brother, it's like it's not like I bowled you out. It's like man, you know, we're in this together. I slipped over, you slipped over. Yeah. Isn't it annoying when you miss one from the goal square? You know, like footy's full of those imperfect moments.
How good was that, being there together?
Yeah. And again, a couple of times that in derbies where I've got him and he's thinking he's getting it, and I've just nudged him out and marked it, and he'd always, how'd you get that? How'd you get that? It's mine. And you know, they're just magical memories that I won't forget.
Anything after games that you can share, catching up?
Look, we often, honestly, playing AFL, your schedules wouldn't line up that much, but we always used to have so many fun times off the field. Like I said, he'd come to the parties. We used to have these Christmas parties at Alga Street. Yeah. And
Alga Street, man.
Oh no, and lots of other parties, Abbott Street as well. Before that in Scarborough, and he would have crew at his joint in Spearwood. We would hang out socially all the time. Wasn't always after games. It was mostly off season or when we can. And because we were so
6 days,
yeah. But PTA controversial statement.
Yep.
But no, we would catch up. And this one time we had this Christmas party at Alga Street, and we call it the Alga Christmas Miracle. And Cam was there to witness it. And we had this spa, and
You had a spa at Alga Street.
we had a spa.
That's the first I've heard of it.
And anyway, it would go from periods of good to like
Grain.
not out of order.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was in a period of out of order. Darcy and I was like emptied it, scrubbed it, bleached it, like cleaned it, filled it up with new water, balanced it, chlorinated it, the lot, right?
Just quickly for some Alga Street context. At that point, you owned the house.
I owned the house. Yeah, I always owned the house.
And you purchased a spa.
Nah, it was built in.
The spa was built in?
Built
Good.
in.
I just
It was
want
a
to check
selling
if
point.
one of your first paychecks, you purchased a spa.
Nah,
Carry on.
it was all
Christmas
built
Street
in.
Miracle.
It was all built
Alga
in.
Street Miracle.
And but the spa didn't actually work. It was just such a hot day. We're having all these people around. We thought,
Pool.
we'll have a little plunge pool sort of thing, and it works great for that. That's what works. So one day Cam rolls in the door on Christmas, and as much as Cam and I had so many fantastic times, there was also so many times where it's like he didn't rock up, and you're like, "Hey, where are you?" And he's like, "Mate, I'm in Spearwood. I'm not coming. Sorry,
Yep.
I was excited, and I'm not coming. I can't come." And it was like all good. But Cam McCarthy busts through the door on Christmas, and all the boys are like, "Yes,
Yeah.
Cam's here. Like, how good's this?" We're all hugging. Jess is with him too, and possibly his other sister Hannah. Like, beautiful family. And Cam rolls out. And he's like, "Oh, sick, you got the spa working." And Darcy and I, who'd been like cleaning it all day, were like, "No, we actually haven't. We just thought it might be a plunge pool." And he's like, "Surely not, bro. Like, go on, have a crack at it. Like, what's to go with the thing?" And I'm like, "Mate, I've tried for 2 years, man. I can't figure this out. Like, this heater thing's broken." And
The plunge pool. Yeah.
yeah, but like it was connected to this heater, a filter, all this stuff, and I'm just like, "All right, you know what, you're right. I like your spirit. I'm gonna have a crack." Like, turned a few knobs, tried something.
Bubbles immediately.
Immediately 40 degrees, bubbles, keenies, everyone was in.
Yeah.
But it just fired up, and the heater on the spa just started working after 18 months on Christmas Day. Spa proceeded to heat up and turn into the centre of 12 to 6 that night. And it was just magic. And that's
Alga Street Christmas.
yeah,
Miracle.
that's a little organic Cam McCarthy Christmas miracle story. And if he hadn't have suggested it and pointed at it and been like, "Hang on, what are you telling me right now?"
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't have been like, "You're right. What am I saying?"
Had
I'm
he
just taking
previously
this.
been there and the spa's not working and you're like giving it a crack, or it was just like the lid was on for a while?
Lid was on for ages. Like, he would have been there 10 times, but it was, you were flipping the coin as to whether that spa was. And when I say coin, I mean like a dodecahedron, bro. Like, it wasn't happening too often.
The Dungeons and Dragons 20-sided die.
Yeah, like, honestly. So, they were just the best times. And like I said, it's my pleasure to be sharing all these stories with you. I've got plenty more, but I just feel like it's great to share these stories and add some context through song. Yeah. And if you guys don't mind, you especially, I'm going to take you to a few tracks.
I would love that. Thanks so much, man.